everyone, it's Miriam with a Y. Thank you to everyone who sent get well wishes and prayers. They really helped and I'm feeling much better. So, let's make a beautiful resin Petri using just 3 colors of alcohol ink. And let's make it using very little resin. For our colors, let's use colors that approximate the primaries. So I've pulled out Baja Blue and the new colors Golden Yellow and Pink. Since this is going to be a Petri and we're designing for the other side of the piece, we'll need to use Blanco Blanco to give the colors their texture and have them push through the resin and make the other side awesome. Now, if you're going to be making Petris, like more than just 1 or 2, I highly recommend getting the 4-ounce bottle of Blanco. It's the equivalent of 8 of these, but it costs less than the price of just 4 of these. So this is financially the better way to go. My resin will be ClearCast 7050 because I want a strong, rock-hard finish when my piece cures. If it's going to be a thin piece, it really needs to be strong. And we're going to be making a piece that's not much thicker than this. For this 4x4 inch coaster mold, I mixed up just 45 milliliters of resin total. Since ClearCast is a 2-to-1 ratio resin, I mixed 30 milliliters of part A to 15 milliliters of part B. Once I pour it in the mold, I make sure to coax it to the corners, and I make sure to dislodge any bubbles that are hiding in the corners and along the edges. Bubbles love those places, so really check for them. Since I have a teeny bit of extra resin, I'll make a little pendant too. We'll see how that turns out. I'll wait a few minutes for the bubbles to gather toward the middle, and then I'll quickly pop them with my torch. I'm going to avoid getting the torch too close for too long along the edge of the mold where the resin meets the mold, because getting that area too hot can sometimes cause your mold to bond to your resin, which you don't want. One last check for bubbles hiding in the corners. And now for the fun part, playing with color. I'm starting out by dropping some pink, followed by some Baja Blue, and then some Golden Yellow. Now, there's no right number of drops. That part's entirely up to you. I just want to make sure I leave some negative space along the edge, but that too is a personal design choice. You can fill your Petri completely if you prefer. You might want more pink, less yellow, whatever makes you happy. Just try to avoid letting all 3 colors touch in the same spot. That can lead to a brown color, but I don't want brown. I let the colors spread out a bit, and then I cover the whole pattern with white. Again, the number of drops isn't important. Like, you don't have to make sure you have a drop for every single colored drop that you put down. I just want to cover this entire area with white. And I also want to make sure I only put down 1 layer of white. So I want to avoid letting 2 drops fall in the same spot. It's okay if they overlap. Limiting the amount of white you put down will prevent the white crashing through to the bottom that we sometimes don't like to see in a Petri. So that's why I'm limiting it to 1 layer at this point. Once that's all done, I'll add another layer of color, and I'll follow it with a second layer of white. And that's it. No more ink needed. And I'll do the same for the little pendant. Now wait until the ink does its thing for a bit. You know, like it'll undulate and move and morph and mix. It'll look like a like some kind of magical brew. But it's always fun for me to watch this, so I don't mind waiting. When the ink seems to have settled down, you can now have a little creative fun and add some movement to your piece. For that, I'm going to use a silicone-tipped clay tool since this is so shallow. But you can use the end of a micro brush or a toothpick, whatever you like, to swirl the ink around a little, and maybe other little things you want to do. Now, if you use something sharp, make sure not to touch the bottom of the mold with that tool so that you don't scratch the surface of your mold. Any mark you make in your mold will forever transfer to every piece you make in that mold. So be good to your molds and they'll be good to you. For fun, you can make tendrils or spirals along your edges, whatever you like. But keep in mind that the resin's going to continue to move for another half hour or so. Therefore, whatever you draw in your resin is gonna move too. Now, I like that it's going to move because it's going to make my tendrils look a little more organic, less like I pulled them myself. But if you make something like a spiral, it'll kind of distort that spiral shape. So wait until the half hour has passed before making your spiral, if you're going to be making something like that you want to have maintain its shape. After that half hour, I'll do a last minute check for any big surface bubbles or things I don't like. It's like sometimes I pull out little pieces of white that I don't like, or maybe a little piece of lint fell in, and whatever. Take care of whatever needs fixing. And then I cover this up for 24 hours before demolding, the absolute best part of this whole process. It's been about 16 hours and I'm going to demold these. Now I really should wait another 8 hours for the bigger one in particular to make sure it's set up better. But I'm like a kid sometimes and I want to play with my gifts now. Now, if you're going to do that too, wear gloves just in case. The top is still a little soft sometimes, so you don't want to leave fingerprints when you are touching the top. Usually the fingerprints will pop back out, but just in case, gloves are always a good idea. Unless you're a good girl or a good boy and you wait for 24 hours or 48 hours ideally before you take it out of the mold, but I'm just not patient. Okay, let's see what we've got. I'm going to do the pendant first because I'm less concerned about it. Nothing spectacular. It's cute enough, I suppose. I mean, I like the colors, but there really wasn't much pattern. I think it's a little darker than I was expecting. I think I probably added too much ink for something this small. So, yeah, I think I like this side a little better. It's got a weird texture because of the inks, so what I can do to save it if I want to use this piece is top coat this side and then use it as a pendant. But, okay. Now, this square piece. This is the one I'm super excited about. I love how it ended up feathering after I let it sit for a while. It feathered out more, and I always love this type of texture that develops. So I'm hoping I have some of that on the other side too. All right, no stuck corners or edges. That's good. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Look at the brilliant colors. I just love working with Pinata inks for this. The colors are always so like highly saturated and bright and just so lush. And so this little veiling here is all due to the fact that I dragged that silicone stick through. Oh, love it. Since this is still a little bendy, what I'll do is set this down on a flat surface for a day to give it a chance to become rock hard without warping. I'll even press down on the periphery to ensure that it's nice and level. And then once it's fully cured, what I can do is add a top coat to the reverse if I want to end up using this as something that's ornamental, that I want to be able to see both sides. But since the mold is nice and shiny on this side, I usually don't have to top coat this side. And if I'm going to use this as a coaster, then all I would do is sort of file down the lip that's kind of sharp when it comes out of the mold, and then put little rubber feet in areas that you can't see on this side, and it would be ready to use as a coaster. Another option for this is just framing whichever side you prefer, which obviously on this one is this side because I just love it. Now, stay tuned for pictures of other pieces done the same way. I hope you enjoyed this and are inspired to try a simple, quick and easy Petri of your own. Make sure to subscribe, click the bell, and select all for notifications to see upcoming videos showing you how to get fun textures in your resin Petri art and what to do with your finished pieces. Thank you to all my wonderful patrons who make these videos possible. I couldn't do this without you. And thank you to all of you for watching. I am so grateful for all of you. And again, thank you for all the lovely well wishes I received this month. May your creative nature shine this week. See you in a couple of days. Bye now.